Now, David, I'm going to get a picture of you and Lauren. Please. You should be used to this. Okay, you guys squeeze next to the bear. Okay.
How to be
Just stand back. Just do this with the tree and everything.
I'm not
pose,
I'm not doing that.
It's the bottom of the tree.
Yesterday, this guy was all gray, so.
Like because the more gap you got in the bottom of the battery, the more flakes it can handle because of the flakes, especially electrodes and short. It's a whale. Keep going. Oh, looks like we're in the way here.
They're not going to be patrolling when they
Thanksgiving this weekend, so.
Come on, boys. Come on. There we go. All right. Alrighty. Now, as she said there, my name is Aaron. If you guys have any questions about anything, feel free to ask me. I've been doing this for 9 years now, so hopefully you guys won't be able to stump me. If you do, you probably won't know because I'll probably make something up. There. That's Father Jacques Marquette. He came here in the 1660s to preach to the Native Americans here. There's actually a small replica of the chapel that he would have used right on the top of the hill on the right-hand side there. And you can walk through that and check it out during the day. Up top there is Fort Mackinaw. Your driver on the second part of the tour will actually give you a little bit more info about that because you'll be going right behind the fort later on. We're turning onto Market Street here. This actually was the original main street for the island. Back in the early 1800s, the central industry here would have been fur trade. And this was the American Fur Company's retail store right on the corner there. That site is actually dedicated to Dr. William Beaumont now. He was one of the fort surgeons in the early 1800s. And in 1822, in front of that building, a French-Canadian fur trader named Alexis St. Martin was shot in the stomach. And Dr. Beaumont was able to save his life, but he was never able to get the wound to fully close. The wound actually led directly into the man's stomach cavity. And Dr. Beaumont actually kind of figured he had an interesting opportunity to study digestion. So what he would do, and this is kind of gross, but he would take different types of food, put them into the man's stomach, and watch them digest. Before Dr. Beaumont, it was believed that human digestion was done solely through muscle contraction, and he disproved that by discovering digestive enzymes. So, kind of an important medical study. Kind of gross, but somebody had to do it, I guess. This is our post office on the right here. one of the more busy buildings on the island. We actually don't deliver mail to your home here, so if you live on the island or if you're just working for the summer, everybody's got a P.O. box and you got to stop by the post office at some point during the day to pick your mail up. UPS is actually delivered though. That's delivered by horse-drawn carriage, so that's kind of fun to see. See the UPS guy riding around with his brown carriage and brown horses. The building with the scaffold on the right here, that is our police department. Obviously kind of a small little building. We don't really have a huge police force because there's not a lot of crime here, as you can imagine. We figure if somebody robs the bank, they gotta wait at least an hour to catch the ferry, so got a pretty decent window to catch them. The garage that's behind the police department there, that's our fire department. And we actually do have a motorized fire department here, as well as a motorized ambulance and one police car. French Jesuits preaching to the Native Americans. Beautiful windows. And this is one of the more popular sites for weddings too. They probably do 50 or 60 weddings a year there. On the other side of the road, that big brick structure there is our island school. Actually, I work with a guy who, the year he graduated with 0 other people. He was the only graduate. So he was valedictorian by default, you know. That's his claim to fame. He always tells people, yeah, I was the only valedictorian ever to graduate with a GPA at 2.9. Over on the right is the Grand Hotel's golf course, the front 9 anyway. The back 9's actually about a mile away from the hotel, and they let you use
Are you guys okay?
Look at the run, everybody. Smile.
Getting a picture of me getting a picture.
The points of interest are fewer and farther in between. So what you're going to see a lot of out here and horses. Speaking of which, allow me to introduce these 3 back ends. Over here on the left, we have Sonia. Old Soapy. 5 minutes. Governor Williams was responsible for the construction of the Mackinaw Bridge in 1954-57. And the Big Mac is the world's 2nd longest extension bridge over fresh water, stretching 5 miles from end to end. Or, as a 6th grader pointed out a few months back, excuse me now. To your left here is the U.S. Post Cemetery. And it is by presidential decree that the flag will always remain at half-staff. This is to honor all of the unknown soldiers that are buried here. There are 111 graves. It would later become known as the French and Indian War. One of the forts that he was going to attack was Fort Mackinaw at Wooden Fort over on the mainland. Now stationed at the fort was a young fur trader by the name of Alexander Henry. Down there at your right. They didn't surrender that fort to Americans until 13 years after the end of the Revolutionary War. A long time to be holding on to it, especially in American territory. Good time, good time. But anyway, we got a few minutes now before we get to Fort Mackinaw. So if you guys have any questions about anything at all, myself, the team, the business, the island, biodegradable organic tree fudge, breathe deep. Anything else, feel free to ask. And even personal problems or family concerns. Dr. Phil's here to help, okay?
Do you know what the altitude here
Come on, it doesn't stink that bad.
What's the altitude here?
Altitude? From Arch Rock, you're about 180 feet. We decided to rip a page out of the British book and sneak up on British time, now this is sheer brilliance on our part, we decided to bring 2 ships into the harbor, and we did it too late in the season, and the strait froze over. The ships were stuck in the ice.
All the way to the. Did you go all the way up here to the edge, to the end of the earth? No, you should go up there and look down there. Steven, did you guys go all the way? We should probably tell them, call them, so that they're not wondering. We don't want.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah. What, is this bugging you?
No, I'm just assuming that it is what it is to get it.
Yeah, it is. It is. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know why they want to sit and come up here and get in the way. It's really bad. Nuts and crust.